Welcome back to the channel. You already know, Looper Norris back with another one, another episode going over the most recent albums of 2023, 2024, only rap albums. Today I got a new album to react to give you guys my full critique on, and also I'll be giving this album a rating at the end of the video. I play 4 songs out of the album, just a snippet of it, give you guys a better idea of how it sounds like, and then I start talking about the album. Before we start this episode, I'm gonna go over information about my music and when the next song is dropping. So Rare Lobster, that's set for December 24th, this coming Tuesday, I believe. So check that track out, 12 o'clock a.m. round the dot, just like all my other releases. This is the last track I'll be dropping for this year. The next time I'll be dropping will be January 4th. 3 tracks every month up until a major project or EP or a mixtape. It'll most likely be the June 4th release, Lights, Camera, Actors, which is a 10-track album that I have set for next year. If it's not that album, I'll keep you guys updated about what that project is, but it'll most likely be that album. Yeah, so 3 tracks every month, all throughout next year, just like I did this year. Yeah, I'll keep you guys updated about any major project in between. But make sure you like, subscribe, definitely comment, let me know what you guys think about the videos. I got a lot more music and content to come for the future. Today we're gonna do the new album, well, sort of new, Nas's Magic 2. This is an album he released last year, summertime of last year. This one's a little bit of an older one from 2023. Nas Magic 2 2023 album. I'm gonna play 4 songs off of the album, just a snippet of it. So the first song I'll play, this one is called Motion.
Check coming 500 a piece smoothly. And yo, that shit behooves me. They need to bring back.
This one's called Slow It Down.
Mistake age made they pay grade. The youngster phase, same mistakes, the times change. Trying not to touch the cage.
This one is called Abracadabra.
The risk, taking the risk. Y'all creating the hate, but I be creating with hit. Ain't no way we can miss. Ain't no way we can miss.
So the last track I'll play, this one's called Office Hours featuring 50 Cent.
This Jackson hit 105 and did a crazy tirade. I'm surprised that I acted that way. A baby back 10 on my yak.
All those songs were played on SoundCloud. Nasty Nas. This guy is a super legend. I have him at number 5 greatest rappers to do it of all time. This guy is a super legend. I think he started in the late 80s and started to pick up buzz in the 90s. He's very famous for his debut album, Illmatic. That's a classic, probably the greatest rap album to ever be put together. Even if you were to ask any like rap legend in history, most of them are gonna say Illmatic's the greatest rap album of all time. He's also famous for beefing with Jay-Z. They had a back and forth beef with each other, Jay-Z and Nas, sort of similar to Kendrick Lamar and Drake, where they're exchanging diss tracks about each other. We all know how that ended. Nas defeated Jay-Z during that rap battle with his track Ether, going against Jay-Z's Takeover. So that was a highlight in rap history. When he recorded Illmatic, as classic as the album was and as crazy as he went on that album, he was only 17 when he recorded it. And that's like a significant part about the production of that album, the fact that he was just a high schooler during that time. You listen to Illmatic, man, he sounds like he's way past his time when you're listening to his songs on that album. He was that young when he recorded it. And after that album, the rest was history, man. He had like several other albums after that went platinum or greater. He is definitely considered one of the greatest rappers to ever do it till this day. That was basically 30 years ago when he dropped Illmatic. It might be a little bit more than that. 2024, he's still doing his thing, man. As old as he is, he's still putting out full-length albums, still going on tour, still performing. I've said this before, I really enjoy seeing older rappers from like the 90s make a comeback in this present day, 2024, and they're like releasing new projects and new songs even though they're like a lot older. Sort of reminds me of Eminem, I was saying before. Lupe Fiasco is another good example. Ghostface off of Wu-Tang. 50 Cent, who's featured on this album, a lot older now, but he's still making new songs and still doing shows. Dope to see, man, coming from like another artist, another rapper, seeing all these old heads still do it and still like make a crazy amount of money doing it. Just shows you that talent takes you a long way. It's no surprised that he's still relevant till this day. Maybe not like super famous out of all the rappers you hear about today, but I mean, like, he's still doing his thing. He has like a strong fan base that he's kept over the years. He keeps the same energy that you would hear from him way back in the day, but a lot more new beats and new song concepts that he's introducing here that you would hear in a lot of newer songs this day and age. He'll take those styles and formulas, concepts, use them in his own songs. Also using a lot of older concepts and flows that he would use back in the day. Not a lot of rappers are capable of doing that. So I'll be completely honest with this album. I enjoyed it for the most part. It's Nas, man. Like, he never really makes bad music when you really think about his discography. And he's put out a lot of albums in his past. He's made a lot of songs in his history. But when you think about it, he's one of those rappers that it's very rare to hear a bad song from him. Most of the songs that he puts out, he's always going crazy on it, always has a lot of energy. It's always lyrical. Even when it's not lyrical, like, it's still lyrical. You know what I'm saying? Nas is too good of a rapper to put out a bad song. And that's sort of what I got from this album. For the most part, I enjoyed everything I heard. Nas is giving you Nas most of the time. You know what I mean? It's a 2023 album, right? That's so far away from what Nas used to do back in like the 2000s with Stillmatic and even in the 90s. I'll say the 90s and the 2000s is where Nas was the most popular and the most famous. Those were his like prime years. We're in 2024. This album's a 2023. That's a long time from Nas's prime up until this point. So a lot has changed. He doesn't really rap the same way as he used to, but he has the ability to take that old style that he used to use a lot back in the day and bring it up in 2023, 2024, make it sound more rejuvenated. If anything, he has the ability to make old rap songs as well as newer sounded rap songs, and I think it has to do with his 35 years of experience. He gives you a little bit of everything, which is very impressive. Not surprising because it is Nas. He has that ability to make almost any style sound good. Every track is like a completely different flow and style, and he dominates that style. He does a good job at featuring the right rappers. 21 Savage, 50 Cent. I think those rappers are perfect for what Nas does. Most of the album is basically a blend between Nas going off lyrically, and it's also a blend of newer flows and newer techniques that's used in most newer rap songs. There isn't like many boring parts about this album. Piecing together punchlines after punchlines. He has a handful of songs like that. He also has songs where it's more of like a melodic style of a flow, where he's giving you more of like a newer style. Young Thug, Gunna, Quavo with the quick syllables. He'll even do that sometimes throughout the album, trying out like a newer style, which is definitely dope to see, just because like Nas is such an old rapper. But it's cool to see that he has interest in like the newer sound of rap music. He's willing to try newer concepts and styles with his old ways of rapping and sort of make like a blend between the two, making a cool effect when he does that, right? Like when you're listening to the album, it's almost like it creates a new concept of a song. I think a lot of other older rappers should do the same thing with their albums, because it makes it less boring when you're doing that. Instead of keeping it the same style that you're used to hearing from that old rapper from like way back in the day on every single track, that way will just make the album sound boring. It's definitely dope to see Nas try newer concepts and styles on this album, giving you a unique sound. You put it together and you have an album like this that's just like something that you never really heard before. So a lot of the beats sound like beats that Nas has never rapped on before, so that's definitely a plus. There's a few experimental style beats. The majority of it is heavily sampled. That's what Nas is used to. He's used to rapping on heavily sampled beats, sort of like DJ Premier style. Everything is heavily sampled when it comes to the production. I think the production's good on this album, you know what I'm saying? Like, honestly thought it was going to be worse before listening to the album, just because Nas has so much music, so much albums in his discography. I didn't think he still had anything left in the tank. I'll be completely honest. He's a lot older now. I'm pretty sure he's close to his 50s if he's not 50 right now. I was expecting more older concepts, all the beats to be sampled bass beats. Nas just boom bapping his way throughout the album. It's a little bit of a mix of everything, which is a little bit surprising coming from such an old head like Nas from the 90s, the early 90s era of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Any rapper coming from that era, they don't want anything to do with the new rap music that's out now. As a rap legend like himself, he's welcoming the new styles that are out. You can definitely tell throughout this album here, the way he's flowing on some of the songs. He's with it too, man. It's like he's into all styles of rap music. It doesn't matter if it's new or old. Those are my favorite type of artists and rappers, when they can find appreciation in all styles of music. It just widens the way you look at everything when it comes to producing music, making tracks, songwriting, flowing, just a wide range of different styles going on throughout the album. But he does it in a way where everything's like pulled together, done well. It's not like the styles are all scattered around and the album has no direction, right? Not a crazy amount of features. I mean, that's Nas. He doesn't really use features that often throughout his albums, as far as I can remember. Like, I'm pretty sure that's a Nas thing. He doesn't really feature a lot of artists in most of his albums in the past. Most tracks that he makes, it's him alone on the track. It's not a big deal. Nas is a super legend, one of the greatest to ever do it. In my opinion, I think he's top 5. So for a guy like that, you don't really need the assistance. You know what I mean? Like, he can definitely handle all of the raps himself. Just like I was saying earlier, 30 years of being a rap legend, you know, from the time he released Illmatic up until this point. You really hear that in the music. You really hear the experience that he has making rap songs for such a long time. He has so many like punchlines that makes you think, that will go over your head. You got to go back to the track and listen again, and then you'll understand the metaphor a little bit better. He has a lot of different lines like that, not even just on this album, but in the past. He's one of the best for that, coming up with punchlines that are just so unique, but at the same time they hold a lot of weight to it. They really make you think at the same time. So probably the one thing Nas is the best at out of all of the attributes that he has to offer. Honestly, man, I think this album was a pretty good album, man. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. I mean, Nas is a super legend and all, but he is a lot older, and it's 2024. I just thought before listening to the album that it would be way too out of place when you put it up with all the other newer style rap albums that you would hear nowadays from newer artists and newer rappers. There shouldn't be a surprise with that, but he definitely did his thing on this album. I thought the production was done well too. You got a little mix of new style beats and old style beats. I really enjoyed that, and it doesn't sound like he lost a step. He's definitely being that legendary Nas, going off on most of the tracks. If he's not going off lyrically, then he's trying like a newer experimental style of a track where he's flowing differently and the beat's also different. In terms of a rating, I'm giving this one an 8.1 out of 10. It's past an 8 for sure, but I kept it at the low 8s just because there's been so many other albums I've heard from Nas that are so much better than this one. Even though this album is pretty good, I've heard better music from Nas before. He makes a lot of music and a lot of albums. He's a legendary rapper, a lot older, but he's very prolific, constantly putting out music, constantly putting out songs. That's another thing to like remember. Rappers that put out a lot of music, you're gonna have a lot of songs that aren't like as good as what you'll normally hear from that artist, just because they put so much songs out all the time. A lot of the times you'll have an artist that puts out maybe like one album every year or like 2, but then you listen to the album and it's like incredible because they put in all of their focus and effort into that album instead of just constantly putting out albums and songs every month or whatever, right? So the fact that Nas is very prolific when it comes to releasing music, this album is still good. You know what I mean? You can tell he didn't put his full attention into the album, but it's still like a really good album in my opinion. 8.1 out of 10. Nas Magic 2, another album review. I really appreciate all you guys watching today's episode. Like, comment, definitely let me know what you guys think about today's episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I got plenty more of these episodes to drop in the future. Just subscribe to the channel. Lots of music to drop. I got Rare Lobster set for the 24th of December, so that's coming up really soon. Check out that track dropping right at 12 o'clock. So that's all I got to say for this episode, man. I'm out of here.